Never stop reading Bible. Okay, picture this. A group of people has spent 40 long years wandering through a harsh wilderness. They face scarcity, uncertainty, you name it. And now they're standing right on the edge of a new beginning, about to receive this land of incredible promise. But before they can take that last step, their leader has one final, absolutely critical message for them. So let's dive into this final lesson. So let me ask you a question. Imagine you're about to get everything you've ever dreamed of. All your goals are about to be met. What's the one warning you'd need to hear right at that moment? That question right there gets to the very heart of this whole thing, the really tricky relationship between having a lot and remembering where it came from. So first up, the message takes a look backward, but it reframes their whole journey. See, those decades in the desert, they weren't just a punishment. No, they were a test, a crucial training ground designed to teach one unforgettable lesson. And that lesson was all about the huge danger of forgetting. This contrast is everything. In the wilderness, just surviving was a daily lesson in dependence. Things were scarce, so they had to rely on something outside of themselves. But the Promised Land? That's a whole different story. We're talking abundance, self-sufficiency. And that very success brings a brand new, and you could argue even bigger, spiritual risk. And here is the core warning. It's basically a caution against what you might call spiritual amnesia. The message is crystal clear. When you're comfortable, when you're successful, when you've eaten and you're totally full, that is the exact moment your heart is most likely to get proud, and you forget the source of everything you have. And the stakes? They couldn't be higher. This is not a gentle suggestion. It is a dire warning. The consequence of forgetting, of letting that pride take over, is to perish, to end up in the exact same situation as the nations they were about to replace. This warning about future pride flows right into a full-on reality check about their past. This next part is all about dismantling any sense of entitlement or self-righteousness before it can even start to grow. So the message is driven home hard. It was not because of their merit. It wasn't because they were so good or so deserving that they were about to get this huge victory. The narrative makes that devastatingly clear. So if it wasn't for them, then why was this happening? Well, the text lays out two main reasons. And listen to this. Neither one has anything to do with how good the people were. First, it was a judgment on the wickedness of the people already living in the land. And second, it was about fulfilling a promise made generations ago to their ancestors. It explicitly says it was not because they had earned it. And just in case anyone still missed the point about their lack of merit, the speech brings up the most painful memory of all, their single biggest act of rebellion. This story is the ultimate proof that their survival has always been about mercy, not merit. This story is just a brilliant illustration of the whole cycle. So the law is given on these stone tablets. Almost immediately, the people rebel, building a golden calf to worship. In response, the covenant is literally broken when Moses smashes the tablets. And yet, mercy prevails. A second set of tablets is made, a sign of a remade covenant, a second chance they absolutely did not deserve. In fact, their very survival was hanging by a thread. The text points out that it was only through an act of intercession, that is, Moses pleading on their behalf, that the people were saved from being completely destroyed. It just powerfully reinforces the theme. Their story is one of grace, not one of achievement. Okay, so after looking back at the lessons from the wilderness and the hard truth of their own failures, the message shifts to its grand finale. All these memories, all these warnings, they all boil down to one single crucial choice that will define their entire future. The instructions for how to move forward are really practical and clear. Remember the past, keep the laws front and center in your minds, and crucially, create a culture of remembrance by teaching these lessons over and over to your children. And the promise is that if you stick to this path, you will be blessed. And the choice is presented in the starkest terms possible. There's no gray area here. There are two paths and only two paths. One is obedience, which leads to a blessing, to life and prosperity. The other is disobedience, which leads directly to a curse. This one sentence just captures the entire weight of the moment. It's a declaration that their destiny is now in their own hands. The past has been explained, the warnings have been given, and now the future all hangs on the choice they're about to make. So if you were to sum up this whole final lesson, it really unfolds in 3 acts. First, remember. Remember what you learned during the hard times. Second, be humble. Realize that your success is a gift, not something you earned. And third, based on that memory and humility, choose. Choose your future path and choose it wisely. And that leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? The story might be ancient, but the principle is absolutely timeless. How does a community's, or even our own, memory of the past, both the good times and the failures, shape the critical choices we make for the future? This explainer was brought to you by the Center Studio.